Okay, wait. I think oh, there we go. Okay, all right. We are now live. Okay. All right. Let me do this. I'm gonna put that there. Okay. Welcome to episode 670 of the Black Brain Trust. This is Black Cultural Intelligence. Today, I have a special guest here. BGS Idmore. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard the name. um, there's a video that he uploaded this morning and kind of inspired me to send him an email and ask him if he would join me for a conversation. And there he is. BGS.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing, man? Welcome.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Hey, I got a little bit of jazz playing in the background. Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right. Awesome, man. Well, I was kind of prefacing all of this based on the video that you had uploaded this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a conversation yesterday. Well, just to kind of give you some insights, man, as to what's going on with this channel here. I think you guys can all see that we have our Black Tech and IT Talk streaming 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically a 24/7 information dump on you guys, right? So all of the certification conversations, all the mentorships, all the everything that Mike V had established, for the first couple of years here with this platform, put those in a streaming playlist, got those going. And then you actually go to the playlist section, everything's all broken down by subject matter.
Okay.
So, and then even with all the videos in there, there's dockets in there. So everything's all categorized, right? So you can really source information. With all that being said, in year 3 of the Brain Trust, we really wanted to now shift to going project oriented, like rolling out actual projects, coming up, forming companies, products, applications, stuff like that, right?
Okay.
And I was having a, Maddox 12, Christian. Have you seen that name around?
I've seen his name around.
Okay. Well, he and I had a conversation yesterday. And, we were kind of really just talking about the importance of like getting into full on the tech side of things, right? Like I'm talking now getting into having companies that deal in robotics and all that. We've talked about it enough to where we've broken down the pathways of education, right? To get into these specialty professions, right?
Right.
But then I heard your video, right? And then I was like, shit. Yeah, the miseducation. We started, but who do we pass it to, right?
Right.
And that's kind of where I wanted you to maybe talk a little bit more about it, because you ended the rant. Just dropped the goddamn mic, and I was just like, you know what? Let me email him, man. It's like, let's maybe talk a little bit more. But I got questions to ask, right? Maybe we can talk about this, because you hit it, man. You hit it on the head. It's like the miseducation is so gross. Even sometimes I'm like, shit.
Well, because you're raising your daughter. Oh, I don't know what kind of process you went through, but the thing is, you saw the gaps in what your education was compared to when you were, from when you're an adult. You saw what you were missing. So, I know since you have a child, you said, okay, I'm gonna make sure she gets this, and this. Whereas you can get by without it. But the thing is, how much further would you have gone if you had it? And I'm sure you've noticed that, once you got out into your career path, that there's things that, that if you had certain things when you were a kid, brought up a certain way when you were a kid, you could have, you probably could have branched out into a whole bunch of other things. That would have, you'd had more, more opportunities and probably more pathways to actually go because you're prepared.
Right. And, like when I originally titled this live stream to do this, it was actually to more or less address sort of like an intellectual malaise that I
Mhm.
typically observe, especially like in this area of YouTube, right?
Mhm.
But then that kind of I'm like, okay, but that shit's only like a micro to the macro,
Mhm.
right? So that's where I'm like, okay, let's start. Now, Mike did a live stream, the Black Political Luddite.
Mhm.
I wanted to approach it, just kind of more from like a cultural position.
Okay.
Because it was basically like when he had did the Black Political Luddite
Mhm.
live stream, it had more to do with people who had very sort of like base level political positions, right?
Right.
No nuance, right?
Mhm.
And then let's say we do from a cultural standpoint, and I put in an email to you that I think um I think maybe we fear like the change that knowledge brings about. Is that?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what do you? Yeah.
basically, when because I've tutored many, many, many kids, right,
Hmm.
and or even adults, okay, and I find out that uh, the first biggest gap is the biggest gap in which is passed down to us probably from our females is the fear of mathematics.
Right.
Big fear of mathematics because they're female, they figure it's too logical for them to get into it and they avoid it, so they kind of like slough it off. And if their kids, if they don't impress it upon their kids, uh how important it could be, or how does it limit you. And the second thing is just basic reading, because
Hmm.
Black people are more about being entertained, and sometimes reading or reading books and stuff like that is not entertaining. In fact, um, I always, if I see a woman actually reading a book, I don't care what kind it is, it's always a plus to me, especially a Black woman, because
Right.
I very seldom see a Black woman actually reading a book. She
Read
might read a
books.
newspaper, she might read a magazine, but very seldom do I see a Black woman actually reading a book.
They
I
read
can't.
blog. They read blogs.
Well, yeah, they read YouTube, they read Facebook posts. That's what they read.
Facebook
I
post.
mean,
There you go.
Twitter.
There you go.
They
Facebook
read
post.
Facebook posts. Yeah. Yeah, so so even I'm talking about these are even women with degrees.
Hmm.
With that gone to college, and once they get that sheepskin, man, and get that degree, the last thing they want to do is read. So
Right. They did all the reading they had to do.
yeah, yeah, they're required to do, and if it's not required, they don't even pick up a book. So they do the same thing with Facebook, or they what women do is network and ask somebody that works there, so that works in do you have a girlfriend that works in the sector that can kind of break it down to me? They don't really read and study.
Hmm.
So
Now, it's funny, man. My wife, she was a reader. She had like a huge book collection.
hmm
She was in a literary sorority. That's a whole other subject, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's a whole other subject.
And that's probably a plus to you because she actually did read,
Yeah, I mean, because the thing
which is
was
highly
that
unusual.
well, I mean, because the thing about it was that like
Hmm
she enjoyed spending like like on a Saturday,
hmm
time well spent was reading a book,
Yeah.
right? Like she wasn't bored and then needed like excitement, so to speak, quote unquote.
hmm
She took kind of a pleasure in reading things or
Yeah.
watching documentaries and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But you,
which is a unicorn in the Black community. Yeah.
yeah. But no, I to your point, yeah, if you sort of feign mathematics or something, that's not exactly something you're going to push your son into, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, you're gonna, you might push them into it, but not gonna emphasize it.
Hmm. I mean, so and I was listening, and like I said, man, it was when you were kind of stressing the frustration.
hmm
That was why I kind of like shot you the email because the conversation I had with Christian yesterday, it was kind of the same way, man. It was sort of the same sentiment.
Yeah.
Where it was sort of like, all right, there's some things that from a tech standpoint, we're gonna start bringing to the table here, man. Some real cool shit,
hmm
and it's kind of like, it's almost as if there's just like a rejection
hmm
to progress, or a rejection to progress through like evolution, maybe. Like, what are we missing here?
Um. Okay, because when I was going to go to college, because I was a STEM major, I was actually a chemistry major, right?
Mhm.
And when I got to college, man, you find out the biggest barrier to people are that getting into a STEM field or something that's more technical is normally math. Okay,
Mhm.
because if you read books, you're in English, you don't do a whole lot of problem solving. There's not a whole lot of labs. There's a whole lot of problem solving, and the barrier to getting into those kind of fields is mathematics. Because
Right.
mathematics, you get in higher mathematics, algebra up. Basically, it's all most of it. Half the book is solving problems
Yeah.
with math. I mean, some of that stuff is actually very basic. But the
Mm.
thing is that it gets you. It starts forming your mind to attacking problems a certain way. So now now with the Common Core, right? They start teaching basically word problems, in basically first grade. As soon as the kid learns how to read, they're doing word problems.
Right.
So they're actually trying to prepare these kids for what they're going to have in the future, which is basically problem solving.
Problem solving. Yeah.
Which they've gone the other way instead of actually attacking the basics first, which is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and that kind of stuff, and making sure that's down and mastered first, and then going to problem solving. But that's another story. I don't like Common Core, and I don't like the way they're doing things because
Yeah. This algorithmic thinking.
yeah, it was algorithmic. But the thing is that it's just like anything else. Um, there's fundamentals that you have to master first in anything, and what they're leaving out is the fundamentals. Actually, they're pushing the fundamentals to the side and said, okay,
They
you can
really
kind of
are because
yeah,
man, there's
go ahead.
been times where I'm looking at how they have like my daughter, right? Like
Mm-hmm,
multiply something,
mm-hmm,
and I'm like, okay, well, why didn't they? Okay, and I'm almost like, okay, in order for you to better understand this, why didn't they teach it to you like this first,
mm-hmm.
right? And so I think oftentimes, like with parents, they the challenge that they have is trying to like reverse engineer Common Core
Mm-hmm.
so that they can understand it, then they can turn around and regurgitate it back to their kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the fundamental problem. Yeah, now I understand what you're saying in terms of math, because I think at
Yeah.
this point, even with like Common Core and stuff like that, there's a disconnect between the parents and the kids in terms of like
Mm,
how the parents understand math and how the kids are being taught math.
yeah. Well, since I've had all the way up to linear algebra, so I look at it. I know what they're trying to do. I said I just think they're doing it in the wrong order. So
Mm.
and they're introducing fundamentals that before I think the kids are ready. There's no reason to try to start teaching algebraic thinking in the third grade, the second or third grade. I said it doesn't make any sense to me when they don't have the basics down,
Right.
and the kids stumble over it because half the time, you know. Like especially during COVID, right? The teacher would explain stuff and then get off the lessons, and then his grandpa, can you explain it to me? And I explained it to him in like 5 minutes.
Hmm.
It takes a teacher 3 days to explain the same thing I explained to him in 5 minutes. So I said, hey, so. But the thing is that I know what he's missing, and I know since she's not a math teacher, so she's trying to her best way she can explain a concept. And I
Right.
said, let's break it down. I said, look here, man, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And I have him do it, have him work through the like 20 problems in about 5 or 10 minutes, and he's got the concept.
Mhm. So let me. Okay. Well, let's do this here, man, because
Mhm.
I titled it Luddite for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's in the black community. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go here, man, because I mean, I think like the greater like the overarching point is this sort of I don't is it like an aversion to
It
intellect
is an
or
it is an
yeah,
inversion to
speak on
intellect.
it. Right.
Okay. Um, it's unlike it. We know whether we like it or not. Basically, the whole black community follows the lead of its females, and what the females think is important. That's what we do, because it's far more important for the community to avoid boredom. Okay, because some of the mathematics and this kind of reading, that kind of learning to read, especially when you first learn, is dry. Okay, it is. Unless you develop a habit and grow a love for it, it's dry.
Right.
And black people basically love to be entertained. So it's dancing, listening to music, listening to something that goes by fast, something to entertain you. And all the females focus on females hate boredom. All women hate boredom. They love to be entertained and have some kind of novelty day after day after day. So, and the only time they really button down to actually do something that's kind of mundane and boring or something that's important is actually when they go to work to earn money. So they don't push it on their kids, and they hate their kids to sit around for, an hour and a half, 2 hours to be bored, right? And they don't want to monitor the kid while they're doing the homework. So they so just as much as the kid wants to get through with their homework, they do too. So, and I think when they say the kid studies 2 hours a day in the black community, I don't think it's that much, because because my child goes to a public school and I see his homework. If that homework is 30 minutes a day, they're doing good.
Yeah,
they're doing good.
I think my daughter, she's like, hers is 30 minutes a day. So what I'll do is I'll have her do the homework, and then she has like 20 minutes of supplemental reading that she has to do. And then if she wants to use the computer, I'll have her like on Google Earth.
Yeah.
And I'll have her kind of like researching the globe, different places and stuff like that.
Yeah. When my grandson was in private school from age of 3 on, basically we had homework. Homework was at least an hour and a half to 2 hours.
That was a grip, dude. Because you had a homework, man. We had a homework in every subject.
Yeah.
like I remember having homework in like some days you didn't have, and then sometimes you did, and then it was just like, shit, I got homework in 4 goddamn subjects tonight.
Yeah. So whereas that's why I made the correlation, because black people say they want to advance, they want to get into these fields, right? They want to not just get into the fields, but they actually want to go higher, start their own companies and stuff like that. And right. I said, and the thing is, the thing is I always say, who are actually leading these fields? Who are the people that are actually getting into this stuff, leading these fields, and actually starting these companies? And it said, and then look into these people's backgrounds. Okay, how did they grow up? How much did they study? What kind of stuff did they study? And model that, right? Mm-hmm. And black people don't do it. They think you're just supposed to, that's why I was having, issue. And I don't, I have no problem with keep it techie, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is that he found his way. He got into the military and he kind of found his way into the tech field, right? Kind of a zigzag instead of a straight line, but he found his way, right? But that's difficult, man, for most people to follow.
No, not everybody's gonna, especially they're into tech. They're not. A lot of people aren't gonna zigzag their way into it, man.
No. They're not gonna zigzag the way in it, and because even though I didn't finish it, I got into a couple of networking classes, right? And I sat there with the young people, man, and I can tell you, man, 90% of them were inadequate. They actually do that kind of stuff.
Man, look, people get into it, and like within a few years, man, they're out.
Yeah.
It's like the people. If you got the mind for it, you're in it. You're in it to win it. But it's not a lot,
And you have to dedicate yourself, because going back and learning this stuff, man, you have to have the discipline and dedication to actually stick to it. Most people aren't, they're not prepared for it, and 2, they don't have the discipline to sit down and do it. And it's hard if you don't have the requisite background in reading and math. Okay, it makes it that much tougher. It takes you longer to learn it, and most people, it takes so long. We could go jump through all those hurdles, they give up.
What about like the home environment too, man? Because remember, some time ago we were talking about like the old computer shops, like in San Gabriel Valley and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So and I remember as a kid, like those computer shops.
Yeah.
Right, and building computers, little electronics kits. Mike always talks about like the boards and shit he used to get from Radio Shack.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like, there's also the part of early on, like even like the type of we're always quick to like throw a PS5.
Mm-hmm.
in front of a kid, which, okay, I mean, I'm just saying, gaming in and of itself, it's not necessarily bad,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's other constructive forms of, like, let's just
Yeah.
say, toys or entertainment, right? That actually you glean and learn from.
Yeah. Well,
Remember
yeah,
those robotics
yeah,
kits
yeah.
stuff?
Because a PC is almost like working on a car, because it's got different components that do different things, and you can, how the motor heads used to go out and tune up a car and change the parts in and out, like the carburetor, like, well, because you actually
Work
tinker
on
with
that
the,
shit, yeah.
yeah, you tinker with that stuff, right? And basically the PCs like that. When you get a PS5, it's basically, it's like a tablet.
Mhm.
You can't really tinker with it. With a PC, you can change the hard drive, put more RAM in it. You can change the video card. You put a sound card in. There's a whole bunch of things you can actually tinker with, and that causes you to learn what each component does and how well it does, and what's going to enhance your gaming score, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Even down to what the kids used to do is actually mod the code to actually have make little sub games from the main game, and they had little mod kits for it. So you got
Yeah,
into
they do that now
programming.
too. With
Yeah.
they do, yeah, I was gonna say they even do it now too with like I'll
Hmm.
do some of the sim racing content that I
Yeah.
do.
Uh-huh.
But you got guys that, like, man, I swear to God, what they've done is they'll pull like some API data
Hmm.
from like Google Maps, right?
Hmm.
So let's just say they wanted to make like a track of like Mulholland. You know how guys drive the canyons on Sundays and shit? Like
Hmm.
they go through Mulholland and then some of the other canyons. These guys will like drive. They go from the valley over to the beach and shit like that. In the Malibu, so they'll drive the
Hmm.
canyons. They call it canyon carving. Guys will take their cars and their motorcycles and all that. But what they did was they took Google API data, right, ported it into the game, 3D modeled, right,
Hmm.
the Google Maps data, and
Hmm.
created a damn like a course
Right.
in the game. Like,
Hmm.
they hacked the game with using Google API data. And I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm like, we could do shit like this, right?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
We can. We can if you put the kids in the right environment, man, and
yeah.
you
Well, there's
take,
that part, right?
yeah, you stop, get them off of YouTube looking at whatever they're looking at, and because there's a big community that with kids teaching each other how to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, my daughter's she watches this stuff.
Hmm.
She watches Marcus Brownlee, and
Yeah.
it's no, okay. That's why we're doing this Luddite thing, right?
Hmm.
Like, why is it that we don't have the mind, right, to where we're actually it's the same technology that we're talking about, the same technology that you and I are using right now to have this
Hmm.
conversation, right,
Hmm.
is the same technology that people either use to absorb like content that literally does shit for them,
Hmm.
right, doesn't do anything to increase any kind of intelligence, spark new ideas, motivate, innovate, anything like that, right, kind of keeps you stagnant in a place, right, to hear conversations over and over and over and over,
Hmm.
right, just to hear how provocative and entertaining it is, versus something that, like, okay, well, look, if I can use this tool as, as a form of knowledge acquisition, well,
Hmm.
think about how much of it you have at your your fingertips at any given moment, and
Hmm.
how much you could actually acquire in terms of data.
Hmm.
I mean, it's the same technology, right? It's the same medium, but
Yeah.
why is it that culturally we have a disposition to kind of tilt to the former as
because
opposed to the latter?
because we tilt toward entertainment. We actually were
Oh,
actually socialized by our women, and to sing, dance, and every now and then throw a ball in the hoop. That's what we tilt towards, because that's what we as a group think is important. Even on YouTube, man, you got people that would rather like to see food fights rather than information being passed back and
right.
forth. But that's our culture. And the thing is that at some point, if we want to progress, if we want to keep up, we want to be as successful as the Asians, or even the white folks, or even the other groups that are doing this stuff, that are actually leading this stuff. If we want to do that, we're gonna have to follow the same path. We got to follow the same footsteps.
Hmm.
That's why it's, like Keep Your Techie said, well, you don't have to. Well, you really don't need math, and you really don't do that. I said, man, if you want to advance, man, you're gonna have to learn this stuff, man. You can't.
Right.
You can't. I know you hated it in school, but the thing is, at some point, you're gonna have to learn this stuff because that's what you're missing.
I don't
And
think
it's
that
hard, it's hard to drag people out of it because they want to treat okay in the Mohawk conference I was reading, they said that black men didn't need to learn how to read. Okay, if they knew how to draw and knew how to read blueprints, then that's all they needed. They didn't know they needed to know anything else, right? They didn't even know how to sign a name because all they need is pictures and the requisite skills. And we're almost doing the same thing in tech. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you the bare minimum of how to put this stuff together, and you assemble the parts, which is fine.
I don't show you how to create it. Basically,
I'll show you how to create it. Yeah, basically, I show you how to fix it, how to use somebody else's parts. Yeah, which is fine as far as getting a job. Yeah, functionary. It's fine as far as getting a job. I have no problem with that. That's it. And at some point, if you didn't get it early and you need a job, you need to make some money, then yeah, you have to go to the code camps. Okay, you got to go to the stuff where they can streamline it and show you what you need to know to actually function in that environment. Which is fine. But the thing is that should we raise our kids to follow the same path? So as an adult, I said, that's why I said in my piece, okay, and Frederick Douglass said it's better to, and you know it because you're doing it with your daughter. It's better to raise strong children than to fix broken men or fix broken adults at the inside. In other words, to say to teach somebody to do what you do, you gotta have to find out where they're lacking, and you're gonna have to shore up the stuff that they already don't know. You have to make up a deficit, and you're probably gonna have to simplify some stuff. Okay, man. You don't even worry about the theory, man. Okay, this is the way the engine operates. Okay, and when you have this problem, you do this. You have this problem, you do that. This problem, you do that. And now you got to do it hands on. Okay.
Even though being able to innovate is extremely important, man, because then you can improve, right?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah. But the thing is if you could, even during slavery, you think you can, by doing it enough, you can actually figure out how to improve things. You can do that just by doing it because you know what goes wrong,
right?
And if you put something together and take it apart long enough, you can figure out
where
it's lacking. But the thing is, but if you know how to read it, you know how to understand it, you know how to theorize, you can actually do it faster.
Right. You could literally prototype some shit from the ground up.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what, this board is just deficient in how it does it, right?
Yeah.
You're like, you know what, why doesn't the board just work this way? You could just formulate like a new custom breadboard test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
those are the skill sets that I think are just, man, those are like what's most important, man, that we need to be able to, you have to, in order, that's crucial to create, man, right? To create.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in other words, at some point you're gonna hit a ceiling where you can't rise above because you don't have the requisite skills or knowledge to go beyond that, because at some point you're not gonna be able to read the shit. Because somebody gonna put the theory in front of you and say, "Oh man, I don't understand this. No, there's math in here. I can't do this." And you have to, either one or two choices. You're gonna have to leave it alone and go back to doing what you're doing, and you're gonna have to go out and actually go to school and learn that stuff.
Learn it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the thing is that why don't we teach the kids that before they even get out of high school, so they don't have to learn stuff as they go up. They said, okay, they can just advance from where they are because they're starting out at a higher level, which is even Gabe A, right? What did he say? Okay, when I said about the Asians, right, they study more, right, and they're a little bit more advanced. He said when he got into college, the Asians were way ahead of him because they put in more time as kids. And even as smart as he was, they were still ahead of him.
You know what's interesting? Now he said that was when he got to college,
right?
Now I found that growing in SoCal, man, we were neck and neck from the jump because I was in school with them since kindergarten,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I knew what the benchmarks were,
yeah.
right? And that's why I think even like today, like I said, man, like I wanted to reach out to you, man, with that video because it really made me think
Hmm.
a lot about what 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 we hope to do, like not only just with this platform going forward, but just what I hope to see, what we could do here in the future in tech.
Hmm.
But it's kind of disheartening when it's sort of like, all right, well, okay, who's going to be who's going to be like the mentees, the interns, right?
Hmm.
The proteges, you know what I mean, the junior developers. Who are these people going to be?
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, man, because it's harder to get apprenticed in this society because we are still the designated underclass, and for black men to get into this kind of tech field, especially at the upper reaches,
Hmm.
especially when you get talk to investors and stuff like that, man, you're gonna have to have some kind of background. Okay, it's really difficult, man.
Tell me
Because
about
they
it.
look at you, then they're not gonna give you the white card, man, and said, okay, man, we're willing to invest, $100 million in you because no,
No.
you have to have all your I's dotted and all your T's crossed. Well, in this country, if you're gonna do it
Yeah.
in this country,
Yeah.
you have a lot more leeway. On the continent. That's why the continent is cool because if you know something, you know something. And if you can prove something, you can prove something. So there's less of a barrier to entry, on the continent. But here, you got to come up with that certificate. You got to come up with that degree, and you got and it has to come from a standard school. It can't be from American University or something like that. It has to come from a state school or
Like a
a
private
good private school,
university.
good
Yeah.
private university. It is what it is.
No, it is, and that's the thing, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
where like the pragmatic aspect of it comes in. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is what it is,
Yeah. If
right? So
yeah,
now, what do you do with that?
because if Fred Smith had went to like Colorado, like Denver State or something like that, a local school, he would have never got into what he got into, man. Where'd he go? Did he go to MIT? I think he went to MIT.
Wait. Say that again. Who was it?
Not Fred Smith, but Robert Smith.
Robert Smith. He went there.
Did he go to
I think
MIT?
it's
I think.
MIT.
Yeah, he went to
Wait,
MIT.
he went. There was because he got. I think he got his was a master's from MIT, and then or
Yeah,
he went. There was two schools he went to. One, I think, was MIT was one. I think the other one was like an Ivy League or some shit.
yeah. I think the other one was maybe Harvard Business or something like
Yeah, it
that.
was like
Yeah,
yeah, it was like MIT,
yeah,
MIT, and then an Ivy League school.
yeah. Harvard Business. But the thing is, even then, he said he had to start his own business because
Cornell,
he had
that's what it was.
a
Cornell.
Cornell. Yeah,
Cornell.
he had a glass ceiling. Okay,
Hmm.
with that. But the thing is, he would have never got into it if he didn't have all that stuff behind him. He couldn't walk in and as a Luddite, no, not a Luddite, but as a from the ground up and actually get into that. He couldn't have done it because they
Right.
look at you differently. So what I'm
Yeah,
saying
he
is,
had to come in.
go
He had to come in exceptional.
he had to come in exceptional. He does. You do. And I hate to say it, but it is what it is. And I think the you know I think that we kind of limit our kids because even Keep It Tech, he said he was barely a C student. Yeah. So Keep It Tech, he got extremely lucky because most kids that come out of especially a predominantly black school with C's don't or normally get jobs at Walmart, or
Right.
they have to go to the post office or UPS or
Yeah,
someplace like,
UPS
oh
store or something like
yeah,
that.
and something like that, man, because it's very difficult for them to get into tech. Extremely difficult.
No, it's not the easiest thing. I would say this may even sound crazy, but
Mm.
it's probably easier to get into it as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, because you're doing it yourself. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
and and you-
actually
and,
yeah.
and you're financing yourself, so you're not
Hmm.
but even then you still have to Well, all you have to do is come up with a product, and if they like the product, then kind of said, okay, does the damn thing work? And they test it out. Does it work? Yeah, it works. It works fine. Okay, we'll buy it. Okay.
Yeah.
But
keep it techie. He said, he's clarifying. He said CB student.
Oh, CB student.
CB
Yeah, well,
student.
even then, man, see where they work. Okay.
Hey, real quick, just that the Kawanza Kunjufu video. Like, if you guys check the TBBT documentaries playlist, that lecture that he did, the miseducation. What was it called? The miseducation of black boys, or no, the destruction of black. I'm trying to remember the title.
He's got about 3 or 4 of them about black boys. Yeah,
that there's a lecture he did on that book in that playlist. It's like about 2.5 hours long. Check it out, man. It's real deep.
Yeah. Because back in the 90s and the early 2000s, I was sitting in on the they used to have. We remember the user groups back in the day. In the 90s and early 2000s, they kind of went away a little bit. But the thing is, those guys were on the cutting edge, right? And these guys were telling you exactly what you needed to get into this game.
Yep.
And all those guys were STEM guys. Okay, they weren't just guys walking off the street, man, as hackers. Okay, they got into STEM. They got into computer science early. They went to school. Okay, they took the courses, and back then you had to have math. You couldn't get by with just math. You got to have you had to have at least the first year calculus. They wouldn't let you get by.
You had to come out of high school with do minimum algebra 2.
Minimum algebra. Minimum. Yeah. In fact, back in the day, when they used to have the trade schools for programming, right? Because there was a couple of business programs, that were in trade school, outside of trade school. Minimum, you had to have algebra 2.
Yep.
And they would teach you the rest. But I found out just programming at the very least you had to have algebra 2.
Yep.
And you probably have a little bit of trig. Because
I was gonna say, like I said, you literally minimum is algebra 2.
And minimum algebra.
Gonna have to, if you wanted to get proficient, you had to have that other shit.
You had to they wouldn't even take you in a program if you didn't have algebra 2.
Right.
Minimum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this, BGS. We're coming up on 40 minutes. Do you mind opening it up? I wanted to because you, man, you just dropped the mic on it.
What it's saying is the thing is that I understand what people do after they get out, but the thing is, I constantly talk to educators, man. I constantly talk to these people that have to bring these people through, man. And basically, you were wondering how come you can't get these kids interested in this kind of stuff. You can't get these kids into programming and that kind of stuff because they're scared of it.
Right.
Because they never been conditioned.
We should not be fearing this, man.
We shouldn't be.
Like I want to launch like robots and all this. I want to do all this crazy shit.
Yeah.
I have no fear of this, man. If we don't do it, someone else is.
Yeah, because I have 1, 2. Because my cousin he's been in Nesby. My cousin's in his 50s, right? But when he's going to Cal State Northridge, right? He went there as an engineer. Yeah, his CSUN, he's an engineer, right? And I got a whole bunch of people because I'm in STEM, right? That they're actually former as engineers, right? And to actually get into this kind of work, it's heavily inundated in math, and you're going to need engineers, okay? To actually come in and design these things. Everything can't be done from the community college level. It can't. Okay,
no.
You're going to have engineers.
No.
Okay.
We've got my big brother Art New Style.
Yeah, because even when I took C and C sharp in programming, man, that said it. A lot of that stuff. Was mathematics, man. I understood it better than people who are sitting next to me, and they had to kind of dumb it down so that the ordinary people could actually understand it by doing the hands-on. The thing is, I got it quicker because I come from a STEM field.
Yeah.
So it made sense to me.
Yeah, but when you have people who literally are just saying, go into this venue, right, with no, like you said, no math background,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
No, or technical background, like
Mm-hmm.
simply computers, soldering, diagramming, like you were saying, like okay, or can you read a diagram, for example, right? How
Yeah.
something is literally on a 2D level put together,
Mm-hmm.
right? Can you look at a diagram and then transpose that into physical, right? Do we have those abilities, those literary abilities, those mathematic abilities? Do we
Mm-hmm.
possess those? Because other if we don't, then you're right, all we are is just functionaries,
How can you understand electricity without having trigonometry?
right?
I mean, somebody, you can find out what the formulas that you need to do the function. You need to actually put some committed to memory. But if you don't have trig, it's harder for you to actually learn this stuff.
Well,
You always run up against it, and people that are really bad at it don't have the fortitude to actually get in and learn this stuff. Man, they struggle. And I can't tell you how many people I had to people in electronics, people that were electricians that had to come in, they had to sit down and actually go over their math with them. Okay. And actually, actually tutor them, tutor them through this stuff.
yeah.
Okay. And,
you know,
and,
I,
and go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I was just thinking, I started thinking kind of like outside of the box about the plight, right? Like, okay, what do
Hmm.
we do, right? And I'm thinking like, okay, what were some of the things as a kid, I was doing that really kind of brought me more and more and more into this stuff as I got older. So,
Hmm.
Mike V and I, we've talked a lot about, like, back in the day and stuff. We build RC cars,
Hmm.
right? Taught me, a lot about electronics. How to trace,
Hmm.
how to back trace wiring and do all this other stuff, and
Hmm.
and then those type of skills just from things that were like, toys, or
Hmm.
the things that could be considered toys,
Hmm.
where that ultimately kind of like led us to, and
Hmm.
getting into and being, the type of things that we ultimately became proficient in. So, I mean, even just, again, man, just from what it is that we're putting in our children's hands at a young age, right? Instead of just like, maybe like a PS5 controller, which I'm not saying a PS5 is bad. I'm just, there's other things that we could put in their hands that they could
Yeah.
enjoy, that
Yeah.
they'll ultimately take something away from that.
Yeah. 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 Basically, the consoles are fine because my kids had them, but the thing is that you learn a lot more. The kids that actually on the PC gaming learn a hell of a lot more about the machine and how the program works than people on consoles.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and like I said, and I'm not against consoles or anything like that, because
Hmm.
I had I had did the whole console thing myself growing up.
Hmm.
But like I said, it ultimately became something else, right? And that's the hope, because it seems like what we do is we just have kids and then they get older and they're just still gaming, you know.
Hmm.
And it's like it didn't kind of crescendo into maybe, somewhere else where it should have gone, maybe.
Hmm.
It just kind of stuck with gaming, and we're just still
Yeah.
there playing Madden. Maybe for money. you know I was hoping we could go somewhere with it, man, at some point.
Yeah, we use it more as entertainment instead of.
Yeah.
That's why I said, the consoles are fine, but as far as learning stuff like instead of the consoles, you know um, hey, back in the early '90s, early 2000s, right? You could have made a grip of money just burning CDs and selling them to your schoolmates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I had my daughter all set up to do that. Who guess who was more against it? It was her mother.
You mean like you got like a duplicator?
Yeah, I had he
One
had,
of
he
those
had
duplicators?
no, basically. Okay, remember Napster back in '98?
Yeah, I mean, so you get the files, right? And then
You
did
get
you
the
get like a
files and
CD
you burn
duplicator?
CDs, and yeah, and then you duplicate it. Then you actually burn the CDs, right? And my
Hmm.
daughter was like she was middle school, and I said, okay, instead I said we can, because I said, okay, instead of you getting an allowance, I said you can sell your CDs for $3, $4, $5 a piece, and that you if you do it in 1 week amongst your schoolmates, guess what? you got your allowance for the week. You make $200-300, a month, or maybe even a week, depending on the school, right? And that's your allowance, and it teaches you a lot of skills. How to get the files, how to burn it, software, maintaining the machine, how to keep track, how to do business, all kind of stuff she could have learned. And who was against it was her mother. It was embarrassing for her daughter to do that kind of stuff. And daughter should
those are life skills.
Yeah, they're life skills. Yeah.
What's embarrassing of? Oh my God, what's embarrassing about life skills?
Yeah, well, black mothers, man. Yeah, I don't even want to go into it. Like I said, that's why I had to drop the mic, because I'd get pissed. I would get pissed. Okay, I still have to deal with that, right?
Oh man.
You being, because the first thing they said, with my ex, man, you being too hard on them. You're forcing they working too hard. There's too much homework. I said,
okay. At 13 years old, I was working with my stepdad, man. He did landscape architecture and design.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday mornings, my ass was up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I was in his Toyota Dually with him,
mm-hmm.
right? Tools in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was learning everything, man. How to lay pipe, like irrigation, for sprinkler systems, and
mm-hmm.
Edging and mowing and planting, and dude, that's why I do the gardening videos I do today.
Yeah. And if you learn a little chemistry, then you can learn what the botanist learns about soil.
So your pH on your soils,
your
NPK levels for your various nutrients, so for different types of plants and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that it'd be a shame for my mom to be like, don't have him out there doing that. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, because that's the thing is that we all like somebody was saying, we always focus on the successes, right? Which is fine. You got to have something to shoot at, right? We totally ignore the how many bodies you have to go through to get there. Like we look at the NBA basketball players. Look at LeBron James. LeBron James is one in a billion people. Okay.
Yeah,
we get that from white folks.
Rule thing we do, man.
And people that say that are not in the gyms and see how many people don't make it. I can't tell you how many people, when I was coming up, how many people I played with that almost made it, that had a shot, almost made it, and they fell off, man. For every guy I met that actually became an NBA basketball player, and I know quite a few, right? There's 1,000 that didn't. That I know, there's 1,000 that didn't. And when I talk about stars, you talk about people that even made it to the bench.
Just like dudes that were like really, like, they were real good in college and just didn't make out.
They didn't make it out. Yeah.
Yeah, white folks throw that in our face. They always say, well, why are you complaining? You got Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey. They always try to do that to shut us up, as though we don't know the difference.
How many failed rappers do we know?
Oh, man, quite a bit.
Man, these streets are littered with them.
Yeah.
One-hit wonders and
no hit wonders.
No guest appearance wonders.
Yeah.
One guy he blew up because he was on some other guy's stuff, only to never be heard from again.
Yeah.
Right. But we can use him as the example, right? Because hey, right, he did something.
Yeah. Instead of sitting behind, in music class and learn how to play an instrument and learn how to read sheet music and transpose music and actually work inside the studio. I didn't make it as a rapper, but that's where I am working. I got my own studio. I write music, transpose stuff for people. I work in TV or something like that. I work on basically on scores for TV. That's but it takes more education, and we don't prepare our kids for that kind of stuff.
That's another form of literacy, right? Sheet music, being able to read music, notation.
And
notation.
Then the fact that we do our accomplishments, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I keep trying. That's why I'm really checking that. I don't know if I touched a nerve out there, but that's what it seems like. Is like, it doesn't mean that you're this or that. I just happen to. I'm like, dude, just be proud of what you did.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about hurting anybody's feelings.
Yeah. All I'm saying is anybody that doesn't believe it, man, get out of your lane and go in the public school system for 3 years and find out what Art sees. Okay. Because we talk about the successes on here, but Art has to deal with the failures on a daily basis. The kids that ain't gonna make it. And you know by the stats as they're coming through your classroom. Art probably can look at because I was, like I said, I was sitting in, I used to monitor my grandson's classroom. I could look at the kids and say, okay, I said 80% of these kids aren't gonna make it. Just looking at them,
Just
not
look,
gonna make it.
yeah, man. And I hate that look, BGS, because I see it a lot, right? I know the look that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to look at.
Yeah, because it's one thing to look at percentages, but I always say look at the hard numbers.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at them hard numbers, reality kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
Because they say, oh, 15% is 20%. 20% might mean 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, 5 people. I got my principal that way when I was breaking things down. We only have, was it 15 students, 15 black students out of the whole population that are college and career ready.
Mm-hmm.
15 students. That's 5.9% of the
I'm
school.
sorry, you
I
said
mean,
like 1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
And he was like, damn.
And the college, and the colleges are dumbed down. The colleges are not as strict as they were, when I came up. Not even close.
Yeah, because the issue too,
that's true too.
and when we talk about the Prussian school system, check this out.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of students that got these 4.0s and 3.5s, but they can't pass an English proficiency exam
Yeah, I
at a
know.
community college.
At a community college, yeah.
They should, that should tell you something,
Yeah, and
somebody's not teaching somebody something.
if you have only 15 kids college ready in a dumbed down college system, man, how bad is that? Which they already know that's how come they're slicing off. They're actually slicing off most of the curriculum and actually giving you core camps, right? Okay, what is the bottom? What is the baseline thing they need to know to actually go forward and get a job? Because we're gonna cut out all the other stuff. All the other stuff they may or may not need. We're gonna cut all that stuff off. We're gonna give them just what they need to know as entry level into what they need to know. And they're gonna have to figure out after that.
And we have to look at the percentages of students that had a taste of scholastic success and achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Have they even tasted? Have they got an award for something that they did while they were studying in class?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think most of them have. They probably got like attendance, something like that. But as far as like something you did, to bring your GPA up and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, if you don't know what it tastes like, why would you try hard? I'm not making excuses for them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the things I observe. Once they taste it, they start smelling blood. Like, okay, I can do this. Okay, I might as well just do blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I saw that in my own son.
I was, when my grandson it went from private school to public school, he went from, us having to sit up and do, 2 hours of homework a day, okay, to he can do his whole week's worth of homework within like an hour and a half. And I just looked at my daughter. He said, "You see this?" And I could see, and it's hard to pull a kid. It's hard to pull especially a young kid, and say, "Okay, even though this is what the school requires, or you're gonna have to do this." It makes a big tug. Okay, how do I get him to do this when it's not required? Because you finish all your kids are going, I finished all my homework, and my teacher doesn't require anything else. And but you still need to do this. And then, especially if you don't have, the women in the family actually saying, okay, you still need to do this.
Yeah, well, my son, he was in the.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, when my son won, he won first place in the math competition when he was in 7th grade. He won $250.
Mm-hmm.
They gave these big old, how you got these big checks. You take pictures of the company some tech company.
Mm-hmm.
You should have saw how he tried to look when he's taking the picture, like he was posing, like he was Jay-Z or something.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like he was the it because he was first place in a math competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, and then you hear people clapping for him and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, only thing most of the time, kids only imagine themselves getting cheered for when they drop the mic after some bars, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe they made the winning shot. They
Mm-hmm.
always picture that, but they don't picture the achievement to get them to that Robert F. Smith status.
Yeah.
That's the part that I keep telling people, but hey, to do with the wave cap and the white beater, tell me that education not important.
Yeah, basically the basically black people work on the minimum effective dose. How can I want to do? I want to learn the very minimal amount to get where I need to go.
And BGS, they made it sexy. They made it hard. They made it acceptable. They made
Mm,
it. It's like what?
mm-hmm,
And everybody else laughing at us, man. They laughing at us.
mm-hmm.
They ain't gonna laugh at you in your face because you might, chunk them in the face. Who knows? Catch a case. But trust me, the place where it counts when they making decisions on
Mm-hmm.
who they gonna hire, the
Mm-hmm.
jokes come. They laugh.
They do. Yeah, unfortunately they do. I hate to say it, but they do.
Yeah.
And they don't and I keep all that's I was trying that conversation we had on Tuesday. I
Mm-hmm.
kept bringing up the level of competition. They kept acting like it's not there, bruh. Shoot, trust me. The whole thing is this, and the only people that kind of figured that out were, like later on, were the Mexicans.
Yeah,
You know,
because they value education because they know how hard it is to actually get. They had in Latin America after I think it's like the 5th grade, you had to pay for that, and they come here, it's
because
free. They take advantage of that.
the nephew gets hired, the cousin gets hired,
Mm-hmm.
all these people get hired, and on top of that, they get on each other about making sure that you got the skills.
You
That,
got
hey
the
man, you
skill,
embarrassing me. You got
and
to pick it up.
they make sure that they try to their damnedest to make sure their kids don't have to go through the same thing. So you got to study, because Latin students study more than black kids do. Latin
Yep,
students study like 3. We study maybe 2.
two
They
miles
study
minimum.
2 hours minimum. And they study 3.
Yeah.
And white folks
Are you
study
gonna
about
do
4.
your video? Are you gonna do the Kanjufu one, this presentation, or are you just gonna
Oh, me?
just talk about some? Yeah, because then you said
Oh
because
no, I'm actually
that you.
gonna. I'm actually just gonna go through the stats and
Oh, okay.
acquire the stats and just show people exactly what I'm talking about. Because I know because you have to look at the stats all the time. They print this stuff every year about study habits, test scores, all this kind of stuff. They print this stuff every year. And black
Mm-hmm.
folks have been ignoring it for like 30 years. How come we have the same outcome year after year after year after year after year, and nobody says anything? It's like it doesn't matter. And then they say, how come we don't make as much as the Asians or the white folks or the Jewish folks? Okay, it's a direct line. It's a direct line to getting where you want to go. Okay, you
So
can't you can't start. We can't start when he's 17 or 18. You got to start when he's 3.
I'm
But it's
gonna
hard
give
to get that in
everybody.
people's heads.
I'm gonna give everybody a mission, and wherever they at, if you can, most of your schools, all you have to do is find out the graduation rate,
Mm-hmm.
and then find out their math and English proficiency scores. When
Mm-hmm.
you see that most of them are far below basic, but most of them are graduating,
Mm-hmm.
that means they ain't taking either most of them are in special ed, or they ain't taking classes to get them college and career prepared. So they graduate, they take the remedial classes, we give them
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But when it's time to move out mama's house, he ain't
Yeah.
going nowhere.
Yeah. I'm not saying that and Art would tell you, I'll be the first to say it doesn't mean that you have to go to college or you have to go to junior college. You can go directly into school, but you should be prepared to
Right,
go if you have to go. That's all I'm
right.
saying. You don't. I'm saying if you want to go to a core camp, you want to go to take certificates and get in and do that kind of stuff as you go to work. That's fine. But I think as children, they should be prepared go out and deal with whatever they need to go out and deal with, because they may have to go to the CIS route. Okay.
It's largely dependent upon like where yeah, it's going to be professional trajectory, right? Like
Yeah.
career course path, right? Like you're straightest most efficient line to get there. If that's what you want to do, and it requires either college, math proficiency, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then guess what you're gonna have to do, right? And if it's gonna be over in this venue here, where if it's like a trade or something along those lines, then take the most efficient course or pathway there. It's like I think ultimately we wanted to get out here. And Art, I don't know if shit, because somebody came up, but I am gonna have to take off here in a minute. That's
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Let me see if I can maybe keep the stream going for a little while. If you guys
How many?
mind.
Okay. How long you gonna be
Well,
gone?
no, how long? Because because really, BGS, it was just. Remember, I emailed you like, what was the time? I just wanted to kind of do a piggyback on that video, right?
Yeah.
But I got to get dinner together, my daughters in there and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
like
I know
dinner
Mike
music.
B's up. Let me bring him up, and then I know NOUN wanted to come through. I think he wants to just say what's up.
Okay.
So I'll let them do that, and then I want to be mindful of your time though.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I mean, because I'd have got personal, man. That's why I said I dropped the mic, because I said I was, when you start doing stuff like that, and you get to thinking about other things that are coming up, you start getting heated because, in the tech world is coming up, man. If you don't get these skills, man, at some point, the AIs will actually start doing your job.
this is why I literally asked you to come up here.
Yeah, because
But you know what's crazy?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, BGS. I'm sorry. No, I said, you know what's crazy? Just an acknowledgement for BGS though. Out of all the we call pioneers in the manosphere, you're the only one by far that has this kind of position when it comes to education. Everybody else talk about dating, some other stuff, but I'm like, education, wouldn't that be like one of the things that would help the manosphere?
Okay, if and Rom told me, because I've done a couple sessions with Rom behind the wall, right, for his site, right, and for the most part, as far as dating and mating and kind of stuff, that if people want to get off their ass and actually do something about it, it's fairly simple, because that's one thing I like about. Just take a couple of minutes. I don't want to take too much time with it. Remember the educated lame debates we used to have like 3-4 years ago?
Yep.
Okay. When that's why I brought Kevin in, right? Okay. Those so-called educated lames 3-4 years ago are now known as high value men. So just me bringing Kevin in, and Kevin actually working with these guys changed the whole perspective of how they look at so-called dudes like you, like Mike V, right? Because now you guys are sought after, right? Okay, you guys are the prize now, whether you're actually the laughing stock 4 years ago. So just that one change by bringing in a guy that will actually, kind of polish up, because all these educated lanes were just diamonds in the rough. I knew that. I said, Kevin, all you gotta do is polish these guys and get them ready, and they'll become something different, right? And basically now you don't even hear the educated lame debate anymore, because all those so-called lames are like known as high value men.
Oddly enough.
Which is why I brought him in the first place. I got tired of hearing that. I'll say, Kevin, come in, polish these guys up, because they're already educated, they're already trained, they already make enough money, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. All they need is just to be finished. Okay. And he finished this big case of guys, that they 300-400 guys that were formerly known as educated lames. Now they have value men, and they have all these women competing for these guys, which is which I knew would happen. So as far as Kevin Samuels, make all your goddamn money, man. If you make $1 billion, man, it ain't even enough. So if you ain't heard it from nobody but me, man, make all that goddamn money, man. Don't be ashamed of that shit. Yeah, man, get your money, man.
Get your paper, man.
Get your paper, man. Yeah,
Mike,
that's
just me being on my soapbox. Okay, I'll get off.
No, you're good. You're good. Hey, man, listen. Like I said, I think you needed to have more of a vent, because you dropped it too quick.
No, man, no, I couldn't keep going. I knew to drop it, man. I was getting ready to get personal. I knew to drop it.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Hey, peace to the panel, peace to the chat.
Yo,
what up, Mike?
What's up, G?
Cool V.
I'm chilling, man. I thought I'd just chime in on this, man. I think one of the areas I think we might be missing out on is bringing them up to speed through like boot camps, right? So part of the issue is the transition from home to school and school to home. and there's a lot of gap time in there. So in that 2, 3, 4 hour period that they're in transit, there needs to be a place that they can go to actually get a deep dive into the STEM aspect, right?
Yeah.
So the way how I learned, and I think maybe Complex probably learned the same way. I learned through break fix, right? I had the Radio Shack, the Tandy 30 and 1 circuit trainer board, working that and really doing the soldering and stuff. I started doing soldering when I was like, 8, 9 years old. So I was already working on that type of stuff hands on. So I don't see that really happening now, mostly because I think that, the resources are just not there. And so social media has kind of replaced a lot of that, that mechanical hands-on work. I think there's an opportunity to really go into this, start taking over some of these old these churches that are not active during the day and really just, clearing out some space and claiming it, to actually get involved hands-on in that area.
That's part of it. Yes, part of it. The thing is that if you look at what other cultures are doing and what processes they're actually going through, basically code camp for kids, that's fine. Let's say that's something extra, in addition to what they're learning, right? But the thing is that trying to push adults to code camp. Okay, basically you're retrofitting. You're trying to fix something that shouldn't have been broken. And the thing is, and that's fine for adults. The thing is that how do you, what do we need to put into our educational system? Okay, because what you talk about is in addition to the educational system, right? The thing is, what do we need to change as far as the educational system, the way that kids learn? Even with code camps, they're still studying. They're still studying an extra couple hours a day. Okay, instead of doing 90 minutes of homework and running outside.
Yeah. I think they are missing that aspect because people are, funny as it sounds, they're defunding the schools. Look at Chicago, 51 schools closed in Chicago. Where are all those black boys supposed to go to school at now? They took the resources from those schools, gave it to the white schools. They got Olympic-sized racing tracks and Olympic-sized swimming pools and
rubber tracks.
Yeah. So go ahead.
The thing is, it can, if you can do it in a container in the middle of the continent, you can do it in Chicago. Thing is that do black people have the will to get it done? And that's the issue that we're having. You can flip classrooms. There's a whole host of ways to get this shit done. Okay. Whole host of ways to get this shit done, and it even starts early. If you get the worst county mother to read to their kids at 3 years old for 30 minutes a day, man, you know how much that will change. Just that alone. I can tell you, if you start a kid at 3 years old reading for 30 minutes a day, by the time they get to 8th grade, you've solved half the problem.
Be a beast.
Yeah, I think Mark. I think we covered this before last year, maybe even before last year. Montessori schools played a pivotal role.
Yeah, my daughter went to Montessori school for like 3 years. Yeah.
We featured
4 years.
We featured a young black male last year who worked on a COVID tracking device. And he went to a Montessori school.
Montessori school.
And Montessori school puts you because which is this is another thing with black women. They had my daughter on a Ivy League track, and it was more important for my daughter to have fun and be entertained than about her future. But that's I won't even get into personal stuff. I get pissed off. I get pissed off.
I think Nagone had worked, in the Harlem Children's Zone, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
Go.
That's correct. And
speak up, Nagone. We can barely hear you.
Okay, I'm trying to speak up. I think it's just there's a lot of music playing in the background.
Okay.
But
is it too loud?
What we
he's muffled.
Too low. He's just too low.
No, the music is pretty loud.
All right, there you go. How about now?
Okay, I would say what really worked and what we saw working with the kids was the biggest thing you have to have parents really engage and really getting their kids educated.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing. You really have to get your children engaged in this stuff. The parents have to be involved, and I think that's a big issue we have in our community is, just the level of commitment that we have from a lot of our parents. Unfortunately, the black parents that are heavily engaged with their children in school, they're their kids do much better. Those
Hmm.
those who don't, you see them falling by the wayside immensely. Like I have a situation right now with my grandson. He's with his grandmother right now. Since
Mm.
my daughter had passed, some of you guys know about that, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
and yeah, and the husband and they all got separated in the whole deal. But big picture wise is here he is, now he's 11, he's going to be 12, he's with her, and I have to call him up every night and do homework with him and do
Mm.
the Spanish and the tech with him every night because quite frankly, while he was with her, he was falling behind
Yes.
and she was
Yes.
running about and not even caring about what he was doing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
now check this out, BGS. She's trying to go on a vacation down to Florida this week, taking him down there
Hmm.
with them
Yeah.
in the middle of the school year.
Yes.
And right now his Spanish and his science class is doing okay in math, but but his Spanish and his science class our grades are kind of low. And she's
Yes.
just going on down to Florida. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting
She
there
doesn't care.
saying, and I just talked to her not more than a half hour ago, hey, listen, honey, what are you doing? Why are you taking him down there right now? I have no problem with him going to Florida and all that, but
Hmm.
why are you doing it right in the middle of school year? Well, he's going to get the schoolwork done. And she's got an attitude with it. I'm sitting there saying, do you see
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm the one who's pushing a lot of the school and staying on him because he's a young black boy and he's going to slip between the cracks if I'm not engaged.
Yeah.
If I'm not sitting here pushing the envelope on this, he's screwed. This is my
Yeah.
own grand. My
Yeah.
grandson knows that I'm on top of the case. He knows for a fact that I love him to death. He knows that. So he he's he's afraid of getting me upset because he may not be doing well in school. So
Yeah.
that's what's keeping him motivated.
Yeah.
He's upset that grandpa's upset. And grandpa wants him to do well. So that's the only reason why he's pushing it. But if I wasn't engaged with this kid would be finished right
Yeah.
now with his
Yeah.
grandmother
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if you sit in,
I mean,
Go ahead,
they
Art.
don't give a fuck.
They don't.
Go
now,
ahead.
No, they
you
don't.
know, if you sit into like a lot of staff meetings and even department chair and even administrative meetings, we hear that all the time. If the parents get involved, this there. If the parents do this, and I've been hearing this since I started teaching.
Hmm.
And the thing is that if we've been saying that for 20 something years,
Hmm.
where has 20 something years of students being in school brought you? So,
20,
and the thing
30,
is that
40.
yeah, even longer, right?
Yeah.
So my thing is this, at least where we're at, and I'm hearing that somebody from New York and Kentucky, they were telling me that it's the same as ours. We got the majority. Now we have majority of students, black students have group home parent.
Hmm.
Okay, we're talking about foster and everything else. It may
Hmm.
not, you don't look like it because nobody says much, but when you start looking things on paper, it's like,
Hmm.
damn, that many.
Hmm.
So my whole thing is that it's not a pushback of saying the parents need to be involved. It's like, okay, it's going to take years to solve that. So while that's going on, what
Hmm.
kind of mechanism can you put in place when they're awake? Because I said it might be a blessing in disguise to
COVID.
deal with them on campus rather than being with some dysfunctional parents.
Yeah.
If you can,
And I think one thing the silver lining with COVID and them having to learn at home, the responsibility is put squarely on the parents now, because the
oh, they ain't
teachers
liking that.
It is.
yeah, the teachers can't intervene. So basically,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Like this month, my grandson had to go through testing, right? And so
Mm.
since my daughter is working from home for a couple of months, he was with her, right? And I was reading the emails, right, from the teacher, and the teacher was saying, "Can you please send him back to his grandpa at least until we finish testing?" Okay.
Mm.
Can you
Yeah.
please send him back with his grandpa? Okay, at least
And I
until
look at
until we finish testing.
those students that the parents send. Think about it. Okay, a lot of these children didn't get vaccinated.
Hmm.
A lot of teachers didn't get vaccinated. but the parents are still sending them to class. I haven't seen one parent come to my class and look how things are and say, okay, all right, it's cool now. No inspection from parents. They just say, hey, go to school, get out of my house.
Get out of my house, yeah, so I can go do other things or go to work or whatever they're going to do. Which is, like I said, it shows you that the biggest child care system in the United States is the public school system.
Public schools.
Yeah. So this is what we're dealing with. So I'm like this, since money has been released now for students that they consider the black students as far below basic in English and math as a disability now. So you got money released now. So if you have an effective program, or even if you're in a profession where you can show that, hey, I got the answer to the issue, I just got to meet with them after school, you can get some money. Main people that's really taking advantage of that is BLM. And you know what they teaching. So
yeah,
we need more black people to go to these schools. It's called community resource. You can become a community resource, get your life scan, just in case something happened, they got your fingerprint records, and get in there and, just put in like a couple of hours a week. It means a lot, especially because the principal is going to be your lineman for you.
Go ahead and go.
You're very right about art. You're dead on the money about all of that. But why I get back to this parenting thing is because I look at a lot of these Asian students. I'm looking at these African students coming over here, and if you look at their parents, even though they may not even be the best ed people in the world, they are on their kids about study. They're on them about getting their lessons and their work done. This is expected of them. The tiger mom climbing up their ass like a Brazilian thong during the height of Carnival. They're not messing around with this shit.
I'm glad you said this, Nagone. I'm glad you said this. What are we expecting? What are we expecting from our kids? That's why.
I just want to.
Okay.
I just want to say, we have to push that more. We really do. We really do. And I'm sorry, in our community, and I'm going to come back to this. Your women, our women. I don't even calling you. I don't even call my women no more.
The women. Go ahead.
These motherfuckers, they're not serious about pushing their kids with much education. You have some who do, but many do not. The black kids who are doing very well, some of the best students you see are homeschooled, and they got their mother and father in that house, and they have tutors and all that working with them, and they're rocking and rolling. They get it done, working as a team. But a lot of these other mothers that you see out here supposed to be helping Junior get their lessons are not on the case. We've got a cultural issue with this. We got to deal with that shit, man.
Yeah.
I know a lot of us think, well, this is gonna be too hard. Now I don't know what to do. Nah, man, we got to start drumming at it. We got to start drumming at it into our people, into our community. Okay, you got other communities that others are fucking animals when it comes to their kids getting educated, and those are the kids who are doing the best. And you can't get around it.
There's studies there are studies out there that say that the success of the kid is basically highly correlated with the type of mother that they have, unfortunately.
Yeah everyone I know proves that. And the thing too, that's the thing, because I'm glad Nagone brought that up, because we as a community, or whatever you want to call us, what are we expecting from our children? I mean, we haven't really came out with any kind of thing as a uniform.
Does he look good and can he dance?
I was thinking
bullshit you not.
I was thinking I bring him into the tech company as some sort of junior developer or something. I was thinking along those lines, but okay.
This is gonna cause me to rant. I'm gonna stop, okay? It frustrates the hell out of me. I keep hearing these goddamn. I've been hearing these goddamn complaints, because I've been in online radio. Art probably knows. I've been on online radio since 2003. Okay. I ain't just start yesterday. Long before I came to YouTube, I was on. I did like 15 years on online radio with a buddy of mine. Right. We used to have to do solutions for the black community for a very long time, and basically we come up with a solution that people would not accept because they don't want to do this shit. Okay. If you want the community to fail, you want the community to keep dragging along the way it's been dragging along, and the biggest complainers are who? The women. How come we ain't got these billionaires? How come we ain't got kids in tech? How come we don't have these businesses and
You
stuff
have
like
the
that?
kids. That's the first part of the equation.
And basically you actually put out. I said, look China, the whole nation of China with 1 billion people, they did the exact same thing. They said, okay, we're going to make sure that every kid that we can get a hold of is educated to the greatest extent possible. And we're going to train 1 million, 1.5 million programmers, 1.5 million engineers a year. Not total, but a year, and they did it.
What's that, Mike?
No, I was just gonna say, in Africa, the avatar that I use on the Progressive Brothers podcast is Thomas Sankara, right? So he actually increased literacy for black females and black males. I think like in less than 2 years. I think they went from having like less than 10% literate to like 90% literate in 2 years. And so he increased the literacy rates by creating a program that forces everybody to basically read and learn math and science. And he vaccinated a whole lot of people during that time as well. He vaccinated more people in the 2 years time that he was in power than Trump did in the 1 year he was in power in 2020. So it's just one of those things. I think it's a part of it is a top-down process, and it's also a bottom-up process as well. Because you need only government can really scale big applications like that. And I think that you also need a community that has the willpower to actually push for something like that. You don't need 1,000, 1 million people, but you actually need people. Just enough people, a handful of people that's actually going to advocate for it. So,
and at least give them I'm not saying that we're going to get we're going to turn out 1 million Mike V's a year. That's impossible, especially in the black community, right? The thing is, at least give them the tools to actually have a chance at becoming that, because because you're turning out these kids and to take their chances. And basically, for the most part, most of them have no chance. They're barely able to get a job if they're lucky.
It's like putting them out on like a professional football field, and they never played football before.
Exactly, that's what's happening. Because my parents didn't know, man. Basically when it came to college and stuff like that, I had to figure this shit out at 17.
Yeah,
no guidance at all.
Yeah, digital literacy is a part of the literacy now. So if you can't even create a simple email, man, and navigate your way around Google and other search engines and whatnot, man, they consider you to be a functional illiterate.
Yeah. I mean, you try to teach a 8-year-old, trying to force him to actually type on a typing program. Okay, just sit down and force him, like pulling teeth, especially when the females are not involved in it, right? Because they know he knows if he can get past grandpa and get to the females, he ain't got to do anything. So it's like, I say, come on, this is supposed to be a team. Nagone knows what I'm talking about. It's a team effort, man, and you feel like you're fighting all this battle by yourself. You broke up.
Really, you see, the whole thing of that. I saw about the whole. Can you hear me?
You're breaking up.
Can you hear me?
You're breaking up.
Your mic is breaking up a lot.
The Harlem. It is. Jesus Christ. Can you hear me any better right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I still breaking up bad or what?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. What I was going to say was, big thing about the homeschool zone is they made the parents come in and interact with the teachers, with the schooling, with their kids. They made them interact. You had to interact with your kids. You have to be a part of their curriculum. You have to come in and come to certain kinds of sessions that you have to come in and speak with the teachers. Parents cannot sit back and be non-existent. You have to come in and interact. That's big. That makes them come in. You have to do that. If you're
But
going to
you
be in
know
this
what,
program, you
man?
have to interact. I don't care.
And
You
you
know what?
you know
Oh,
you know what
if you're
Nagon,
vested or not.
yeah.
You have to come.
You know what what COVID
Go
actually
ahead.
is, make parents responsible for actually the kids' behavior because they weren't, the teacher wasn't there, right? So so I've heard, I sit on my grandson's third grade class all the time, and the kid's not paying attention. Go find a parent and bring them here. Let me talk to them. So they're immediately responsible for the kids learning their behavior, and then and women are not liking that. Go ahead.
Yeah, because like the guy that's on this panel that have to deal with students on this whole year, I guess year and a half of it. A lot of parents still weren't around. A lot of these kids were in their bedrooms. You can see the bedpost in the background. You can, it's, that's, they probably, I mean, the children were probably an irritant while they were at home. I give you that. But still, I don't think the parents were even put in a position to be responsible because a lot of these kids were still failing. We send tons of notes and letters to parents about, hey, your child's failing, report cards. They didn't do jack.
Yeah.
You gotta
They
start
didn't say,
texting
hey, what
them.
can I do?
You gotta start texting them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the thing is, and they're the first one to complain about how come the community is not advancing.
Or how come my child ain't going to the prom? They're coming to the school.
Oh Lord, oh God, that don't even start me with that one, man. You're getting ready to go to rant again, man. Jesus,
I mean,
I
in
gotta
a
get ready to
long
get dinner
line.
together here. I got like maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, well that's good enough. Yeah. Because before I start getting mean.
That's why I bring it up here, man. Let you get it off, man.
Because I have dealt with this. Man. Because I think my partner, we started dealing with this stuff in like 1995, man. And through all the 2000s, we're talking to teachers and parents and stuff like that. And it was his show. I had to hold my tongue because I wanted to cuss some people out. I really did. That's why I turned off the rant, man. Because I'm getting ready to cuss some people out because I'm frustrated. Because the first thing we do is complain about the future of this community and do nothing, even the simple things. It's nothing to sit there, get off your behind, and turn off the TV, get away from the phone, and sit with your kid and read for 30 minutes. Okay, it's not that difficult. Okay, I don't care how tired you are, how many hours you work. If you can stay up and just sit there with your kid in the book for 30 minutes before you go to bed, it works wonders. And we can't even do that. That's just my frustration. I'm sorry.
No, we good, BGS. I mean, because I share those frustrations. I think I'm because I'm more in the position along with Mike, where we're on some feet on the ground right about now, and we're looking at like, okay, who are we bringing up behind us here?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. So it's like, okay, that was from where when I heard you talking about it. That was what you were talking about. That was where I heard it from, and then I'm like thinking about like, okay, and then my position on it is like, yeah. So who's gonna come behind me?
Yeah. And I guarantee the people that are in these positions, like you, know exactly where the gaps are, and you're making sure that your kid does not fall through those gaps. The thing is, how do we replicate, Ulysses or even a Mike or even Art? Okay, what are they doing with their kids? How can we replicate that? To get more of these. Your kids are going to be fine. Your kids are going to be fine because you know how to shore up the gaps. Okay, how about the kids that don't have an Art or Ulysses?
Right.
And I shouldn't have to push back for explain the nutritional facts and all that stuff just to prove that your child needs education. You should want the best for your child, and you shouldn't be afraid that your child is going to be greater than you, because I think that's what it really is.
Oh,
You're
you think
afraid
so?
that your child is going to,
Shit.
man, they're not going to admit it. Nobody gonna ever admit it.
We're done for, man. We're done for. Okay.
They do not want their child.
Well, what's coming if we don't have all hands on decks, man? You know,
They don't want their
yeah.
child to speak better than them. They don't want their child to make more money than them. They don't want any of that stuff, especially the
Oh
mom.
Lord.
Come on.
Oh gosh.
They don't
Yeah.
want that. Dad, I mean, some of these pops, and the only time that they want their children to be better than them is if it's basketball, football, something like
Oh Lord.
that. But as
Entertainment.
far as
Yeah.
intellect,
Entertainment.
come on.
Oh
I
Lord
dare
have
anyone
mercy.
to challenge me on that.
Lord of mercy. Lord of mercy. Anyway, anyway, Ulysses, I know you got to go, man, and I'm getting ready to rant. So
Okay. Hey, we're going. Hey, you there, man? You got any last words? Can you hear us?
Nah, man. Just hey, listen. Thanks for inviting me up, man. Thanks for inviting me up. Thanks.
Yeah, I
Ciao,
feel your pain to go, and I feel your pain, man.
Yeah. Ciao, I'm out.
No game out here, bro.
All right.
All right, man. Hey, all right. Hey, appreciate you going. Appreciate your art, Mike. Everyone in the chat that came through to come listen to us kind of talk about, how we can maybe change our mindsets about how we view advancement, right? Because we have a very interesting way of going about it right now.
And speaking of, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was just the alarm. Go ahead.
No, real quick, just before it give some people something to ponder in real quickly. It's not that big, but it's funny as hell. According to the news, the Asians are saying that Kamala is talking about she keeps talking about African American stuff and not Asian stuff. That's the biggest complaint right now. So she has to try to put out that fire.
Well,
So
she is South Asian, or she is Asian or something like that.
Yeah, but she got to satisfy her line sisters that has she put into power.
Oh, that's not my
now
they're in her ass right now.
you're right. So now that's going to be something to think about. So we'll probably talk about that on another panel or something. When we get a chance.
Okay. Well, I mean, if somebody wants to go live, I would love to listen in. I'm gonna go make some shrimp pasta. That's what she asked for. Yeah.
They putting
BGS,
the feet on the fire.
I appreciate you for coming through, man. I really do.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Peace.
All right, peace out,
All
everyone.
right, peace, y'all. Peace.